My stepfather lied to immigration and almost got me deported. The knock on my apartment door at 6:47 a.m. wasn't gentle. 3 sharp raps that made my stomach drop before I was even fully awake. Through the peephole, I saw 2 people in dark suits holding badges, ICE agents. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We need to speak with Maya Chen. My hands shook as I unlocked the door, my mind racing through every detail of my student visa status. I was a senior at Northwestern, maintaining a 3.8 GPA in computer science. My visa was valid until December 2024. I'd never worked off campus illegally, never overstayed, never done anything that would put my status at risk. So why were they here? Ms. Chen, we've received reports that you've been in violation of your F1 student visa terms, Agent Rodriguez said, consulting a thick folder. We have documentation suggesting you've been working unauthorized employment and may have exceeded the permitted timeline for your degree. The words hit me like ice water. That's impossible. I've never worked off campus, and I'm graduating on schedule in May. There has to be some mistake. Agent Martinez pulled out a manila envelope. We have a formal complaint filed 3 weeks ago with detailed allegations about your activities. The complainant provided very specific information about your supposed violations. My legs nearly gave out. Who filed the complaint? The report came from someone claiming to be a concerned family member with direct knowledge of your activities. He flipped through pages. Richard Morrison. Rick. My stepfather. The room spun. Rick Morrison, who married my mom 4 years ago when I was 18. Rick, who made it clear from day one that he resented having to deal with his wife's foreign daughter. Rick, who constantly made comments about how I was taking opportunities away from real Americans and how I should go back where I came from after graduation. But this? Actually contacting immigration to lie about me. I never imagined he'd go this far. I need to see those allegations, I managed to say. Because whoever Rick Morrison is, he's lying. The agents exchanged glances. Agent Rodriguez handed me a copy of the complaint. As I read, my hands trembled with rage. Rick had claimed I was working full-time at a restaurant downtown, completely false. He said I'd been failing my classes and wasn't making academic progress, also false. He even claimed I'd been subletting my apartment to other undocumented people for cash, absolutely insane. Every single allegation was a lie, but they were specific enough to sound credible. He'd done his homework, making up details about fictional employers and fake addresses. He'd even somehow gotten hold of my class schedule from last semester and twisted it to make it sound like I was skipping school to work. These are all false accusations, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I can provide documentation to prove every single one of these claims is wrong. My transcripts, my housing records, everything. That's why we're here to investigate rather than detain, Agent Martinez said. But Ms. Chen, false accusations or not, we have to take every report seriously. You'll need to appear for a hearing next Friday at 9 a.m. and bring comprehensive documentation of your status and activities. As they handed me the official notice, one thought burned in my mind. Rick had tried to destroy my entire future with lies. He wanted me gone so badly that he committed federal crimes to make it happen. He had no idea what he just unleashed. After the agents left, I sat on my couch staring at the complaint documents, my hands still shaking. I needed to call my mom, but first I had to understand exactly what Rick had done. I spread the papers across my coffee table and started taking photos of everything with my phone. The complaint was dated February 15th, 3 weeks ago, just like the agent said. But as I read more carefully, I realized Rick had been planning this for much longer. He referenced my suspicious behavior going back to September, claiming he'd been monitoring the situation for months. The level of detail was disturbing. He knew my class schedule, my apartment address, even the fact that I'd switched my major from pre-med to computer science sophomore year. What made my blood run cold was a handwritten note stapled to the back. Maya Chen has been coached by her mother to lie about her activities. Jennifer Morrison may not be aware of the full extent of her daughter's violations, but she has been helping to conceal them. He was setting up my mom to look complicit. Even if I proved my innocence, he was positioning himself as the concerned citizen who discovered his wife's daughter was a criminal. In his twisted narrative, he was protecting America from both of us. I called my mom's cell phone. It went straight to voicemail. I tried her work number at the dental office. North Shore Family Dentistry, this is Janet. Hi Janet, it's Maya. Is my mom available? Oh honey, she's with a patient until noon. Can I have her call you back? I checked the time, 9:23 a.m. I couldn't wait 3 hours. Could you please tell her it's urgent? Like, really urgent. I need her to call me as soon as possible. Of course, dear. Everything okay? Everything was definitely not okay, but I couldn't explain this situation to my mom's receptionist. Just please have her call me. While I waited, I started gathering evidence to refute Rick's lies. I logged into my student portal and printed my unofficial transcript, 3.8 GPA, on track to graduate in May, Dean's List 3 semesters running. I pulled up my bank statements showing no deposits from any unauthorized employment. I found my lease agreement proving I lived alone and wasn't subletting to anyone. But as I organized my defense, another realization hit me. How did Rick know so much about my schedule and activities? Some of this information wasn't public or easily accessible. My class schedule, for instance, the university didn't just hand that out to random people. I called Northwestern's registrar office. Hi, this is Maya Chen, student ID 47291853. I need to know if anyone has requested information about my enrollment status or class schedule recently. After being transferred twice, I reached someone who could help. Let me check our records. Yes, we have a request from February 8th. The inquiry came from someone claiming to be your stepfather, asking about your academic standing for insurance purposes. My heart pounded. What information did you give him? Well, since he knew your full name, date of birth, and current address, our staff provided confirmation of your enrollment status and current semester schedule. We don't typically. I hung up. Rick had called my school pretending to need information for insurance, and they'd handed over everything he needed to build his case against me. He'd used their own data to craft lies that sounded credible because they contained just enough truth. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hope you're packing. You don't belong here anyway. R. Rick was texting me. He knew exactly what he'd done, and he was gloating about it. I screenshotted the message immediately. Then I did something that probably wasn't smart, but I was too angry to care. I texted back, see you in court. His response came within seconds, good luck proving anything. It's your word against the concerned American citizens. He had no idea I was already building a case that would destroy him. My mom finally called back at 11:47 a.m., and I could tell from her voice that she'd been crying. Maya, honey, what's going on? Janet said it was urgent, and then Rick told me. She paused, sniffling. He said immigration came to the house this morning asking questions about you. My stomach dropped. They came to your house too. Around 10:30. 2 agents asking about your living situation, whether we've been supporting you financially, if we knew about any jobs you might have. Rick handled most of the questions since I was so upset, but Maya, what is this about? Are you in some kind of trouble? The manipulation was already working. Of course Rick handled the questions, probably feeding them more lies while positioning himself as the helpful, concerned stepfather. Mom, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Rick filed a false report with immigration trying to get me deported. Everything he told them about me is a lie. Silence. Then, that's impossible. Rick wouldn't do something like that. You must be mistaken. Mom, I have the complaint right here with his signature on it. He accused me of working illegally, failing my classes, subletting my apartment to undocumented immigrants. None of it is true, and he knows it. Maya, you're upset and confused. Rick told me he's been worried about you, that maybe you were struggling more than you were letting on. He said sometimes international students get desperate and make poor choices. He's been planning this for months. I interrupted. He called my school pretending to need information for insurance and used what they told him to build a fake case against me. Mom, he sent me a text this morning gloating about it. I read her Rick's messages. The line went quiet for so long I thought she'd hung up. Mom. Those don't sound like Rick. Are you sure that number was his? I wanted to scream. Even with evidence, she was defending him. It's his number, Mom. The same one he's had for 2 years. Sweetheart, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding. Rick loves our family. He's been nothing but supportive of your education. Just last week he was talking about how proud he is that you're graduating. What did he tell the agents when they came to your house? Another pause. He showed them your room, explained that you only visit occasionally, confirmed that we don't provide you with financial support beyond what's legally allowed for student visas. He was very thorough and helpful. My blood ran cold. He showed them my room. Mom, what exactly did he show them? Just, your old bedroom. Some of your things that are still here. What things? I don't know, honey. I was too upset to pay close attention. Some papers from your desk, I think. Rick said they needed to understand your living arrangements. Papers from my desk. I kept old documents there when I visited, bank statements, previous semester transcripts, personal letters. Rick had access to everything, and now he'd handed it all over to immigration agents while painting himself as the cooperative family member. Mom, I need you to go look at my room right now and tell me exactly what's missing. Maya, you're scaring me. Rick said you might react this way, that stress from school and visa pressure sometimes makes international students paranoid. He's been feeding you lies for weeks to set this up. Mom, please. I'm your daughter. When have I ever lied to you about anything important? That stopped her. I could hear her breathing, thinking. I need to talk to Rick about this. No. The word came out sharper than I intended. Mom, if I'm right about this, then Rick has committed federal crimes. If you're wrong about him, and you tip him off, he could destroy evidence or make things worse for me. Maya. I have a hearing Friday morning. I'll prove everything I'm telling you. But right now, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? The longest pause yet. Finally, what do you need me to do? I need you to go through my room and document everything that's missing or out of place. Take photos. Don't tell Rick what you're doing. And Mom. I need you to think back over the past few months. Has Rick been asking questions about me? About my school, my schedule, my friends? I could hear her moving around the house. I'm going upstairs now. And Maya, now that you mention it, Rick has been asking about you more lately. I thought he was finally warming up to you. My heart sank. What kind of questions? When you'd be visiting next, how your classes were going, whether you'd mentioned any problems with your visa status. Her voice got smaller. I thought he was trying to be a better stepfather. He even asked to see some of your report cards because he said he wanted to understand what you were studying. Every piece of information my mom had innocently shared had become ammunition in Rick's complaint. I felt sick thinking about how he twisted her pride in my achievements into a weapon against me. I'm in your room now, she said. I could hear drawers opening. Oh. Oh no. What is it? Your filing box where you keep old school documents, it's empty. And your bank statements from last year that were in your desk drawer. Maya, they're gone. What about my laptop? I left my old MacBook there in case I needed it over winter break. It's gone too. Maya, when did you take it? I didn't. The room was spinning again. Rick has been stealing my documents for months. He took my laptop, probably went through all my files. Mom, he's been planning this since at least December. I heard her sit down heavily. This doesn't make sense. Why would Rick want to hurt you? Because he's never wanted me in your life. Remember what he said at Christmas dinner? That I should consider my options after graduation instead of trying to stay in the US. Remember when he suggested you'd be happier if you could start fresh with just him? I thought he was just adjusting. Blended families are hard. Mom, he told me to my face last Thanksgiving that I was taking opportunities from real Americans. You were in the kitchen and didn't hear it, but he said things like that to me dozens of times. Silence. Then, quietly, he told me you'd been hostile toward him. That you'd been making comments about wishing your biological father was still alive instead of him. Another lie. I'd never said anything like that to Rick, and my biological father had died when I was 12. It wasn't something I joked about. When did he tell you that? January. He said it was why he was trying harder to connect with you, asking about school and everything. He said he wanted to prove he could be the father figure you needed. The timeline was becoming clear. Sometime over winter break, Rick had decided to get rid of me. He'd spent January and early February gathering information, stealing documents, and manipulating my mom's perception of our relationship. Then he'd filed his complaint in mid-February, knowing it would take weeks for immigration to investigate and contact me. Mom, I need you to look for something else. Check Rick's home office. Look for any documents with my name on them, or anything that looks like copies of immigration paperwork. Maya, I can't go through Rick's private office. He went through my private documents for months. He stole my laptop and my financial records. Mom, if he's innocent, his office will be clean. But if I'm right, you're going to find evidence that he's been systematically building a case to destroy my life. I could hear her crying softly. I can't believe this is happening. If Rick really did this. Maya, what does this mean for us? For our family. It means Rick never saw me as family. And it means he was willing to commit federal crimes to get rid of me. I paused, letting that sink in. Mom, filing false reports to immigration authorities is a felony. If I can prove what he did, Rick could go to prison. Prison. Her voice was barely a whisper. 3 to 5 years for filing false immigration complaints. More if they can prove conspiracy or fraud. I'd spent the morning researching while waiting for her call. And Mom, if he used stolen documents or your personal information to make his lies more convincing, that's identity theft too. She was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Harder. I'm going to Rick's office. Stay on the phone with me. I could hear my mom's footsteps on the hardwood floor, then the creak of Rick's office door opening. He usually kept it locked, but apparently not when he wasn't home. I'm inside, she whispered, like Rick might somehow hear her through the phone. There are papers everywhere. Maya, his desk is covered with documents. My heart pounded. What kind of documents? I see, oh my god. Maya, there's a folder here labeled with your name. It's thick, maybe 50 pages. Open it. I heard papers rustling. Then my mom gasped. These are copies of your bank statements going back 2 years. Maya, how did he get these? Keep looking. What else is in there? Screenshots of your social media posts. Printed emails. Maya, these look like emails between you and your academic advisor about changing your major. How could Rick possibly have these? The violation felt deeper than I'd imagined. He's been hacking my accounts. Mom, look for anything that shows when he got access to my information. More papers shuffling. There's a notebook here with handwritten notes. The first entry is dated December 18th. She paused, reading. Maya, he wrote down the conversation you and I had about your spring class schedule. Word for word. I remember that call, you were stressed about getting into advanced database systems. December 18th was 3 days after I'd gotten home for winter break. Rick had been listening to my private phone calls with my mom and taking notes. What else does the notebook say? January 3rd, Maya left laptop in room, password is probably birthdate or university ID. January 4th, confirmed laptop password, downloading files. Oh god, Maya. January 8th, called Northwestern Registrar, got class schedule using insurance excuse. He documented his entire scheme. Rick had been so confident he wouldn't get caught that he'd kept detailed records of his crimes. Mom, you need to take pictures of everything. Don't move anything, but photograph every page. I'm already doing it, she said, and I could hear the camera clicks on her phone. Maya, there's more. February 2nd, Jennifer mentioned Maya working on group project with international students, could claim she's helping others work illegally. February 10th, draft complaint ready, filing Monday. Even my innocent conversations with my mom about school had been twisted into evidence. When I'd mentioned working with my study group, all legal students like me, Rick had planned to use it to claim I was part of some conspiracy to help people work without authorization. Is there anything about what he told the immigration agents today? Let me look, yes. Today's date, this morning, ICE visited as expected. Showed them Maya's room and old documents. Jennifer appropriately upset and confused. Played supportive stepfather concerned about family's legal status. The calculated manipulation made me sick. Rick had orchestrated my mom's emotional response, knowing exactly how she'd react and using it to make himself look more credible. Mom, there's something else you need to look for. Check if he has any other financial documents, your bank statements, tax returns, anything with both your names on it. Why? Because if Rick was willing to go this far to get rid of me, I want to know what else he's hiding. People don't commit federal crimes over family drama. There has to be something bigger at stake. I heard her opening file cabinets. Then silence. Mom. What is it? Maya. Her voice was shaking. I found another folder. It's labeled Jennifer Financial 2023 to 2024. There are bank statements here for accounts I don't recognize. And there's a life insurance policy on me that I never signed. My blood turned to ice. How much is the policy for? $500,000. Maya, I never agreed to this. And these bank statements. Rick has been moving money from our joint savings into accounts with only his name on them. Thousands of dollars. This wasn't just about getting rid of me anymore. Rick had been systematically positioning himself to financially benefit from my mom's life while eliminating anyone who might interfere with his plans. Mom, we need to call the police. Right now. Maya, wait, my mom said, her voice trembling. I hear Rick's car in the driveway. My heart stopped. Get out of his office. Now. I could hear her frantically shuffling papers, trying to put everything back exactly as she'd found it. I'm taking the notebook with me, she whispered. There's too much evidence here to leave behind. No, Mom, don't take anything yet. If he notices it's missing. The front door slammed downstairs. Jenny. I'm home early. Rick's voice carried up from the foyer. I have to go, Mom whispered. He can't find me in here. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, my hands shaking. My mom was alone in that house with a man who'd been systematically planning to destroy both our lives, and now she discovered evidence that he'd been stealing from her and taking out unauthorized insurance policies. If Rick realized what she'd found. I tried calling her back immediately. Straight to voicemail. I texted her, "Are you okay? Just send me one word." No response. 20 minutes felt like hours before my phone finally buzzed with a message from my mom. Fine. Rick making lunch. Can't talk now. We'll call tonight. But something felt wrong. My mom never texted in short, clipped sentences like that. She was the type to send paragraphs with multiple exclamation points and random emoji. This message was too controlled, too careful. I tried to focus on preparing for my immigration hearing, but I couldn't concentrate. Every time my phone made any noise, I jumped, hoping it was my mom with a real update. By 4 p.m., I'd reorganized my evidence folder 3 times and stress-eaten an entire sleeve of crackers. Then my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize, but the area code was local. Hello. Maya. It's Janet, from your mom's office. Her voice sounded worried. Honey, your mom didn't show up for her 2 p.m. appointments, and she's not answering her phone. That's not like her at all. She's never missed work without calling. My stomach dropped. When did you last hear from her? This morning after she talked to you. She seemed upset and said she might need to leave early, but she promised she'd be back by 2 p.m. for Mrs. Patterson's root canal. Maya, Mrs. Patterson has been waiting for this appointment for 3 weeks. My mom was obsessively reliable about her patients. She once came to work with food poisoning because she didn't want to reschedule someone's emergency appointment. She would never just not show up. Janet, I need you to do me a favor. Can you call my mom's house? Ask to speak to her specifically. Of course, honey. Hold on. I could hear Janet dialing, then the muffled sound of ringing. After what felt like forever, she came back on the line. Maya, that was strange. Rick answered and said Jennifer was taking a nap because she wasn't feeling well. But when I asked if I should reschedule her afternoon patients, he said she'd already told him she was taking the rest of the week off. Honey, your mom never mentioned taking time off, and she definitely didn't put in any requests. Rick was controlling who my mom could talk to. Janet, this is going to sound crazy, but I think my mom might be in trouble. If she doesn't call you back by 6 p.m., we might need to involve the police. Maya, you're scaring me. What kind of trouble? I couldn't explain the whole situation to my mom's dental receptionist, but I needed someone else to know what was happening. Rick has been lying to immigration authorities about me, and today my mom found evidence that he's been stealing money from her. I'm worried about what he might do if he thinks she's going to expose him. Oh my God. Maya, I'm calling the police right now. Wait, I said, thinking fast. Let me try something first. Can you call the house again in exactly 1 hour? Tell Rick that Mrs. Patterson is having a dental emergency and you need to speak to my mom immediately about her medical history. Don't take no for an answer. If Rick won't put her on the phone, then we call the police. Okay, but Maya, if your mom is really in danger. 1 hour, I repeated. If something's really wrong, an hour won't matter. But if Rick is just being controlling and my mom is okay, involving police too early might make everything worse. After Janet hung up, I realized I couldn't just sit in my apartment waiting. I needed to be closer to my mom's house in case something went wrong. But I also couldn't risk running into Rick directly, not when he'd already proven he was willing to destroy lives to get what he wanted. I grabbed my car keys and evidence folder, then drove to the Starbucks 3 blocks from my mom's house. Close enough to get there quickly, public enough that Rick wouldn't confront me if he somehow spotted me. At exactly 5 p.m., my phone rang. Janet. Maya, I called the house. Rick answered again, but this time he sounded angry. He said Jennifer was sleeping and couldn't be disturbed. When I explained about Mrs. Patterson's emergency, he said I should handle it myself or reschedule. Maya, he hung up on me. My worst fears were confirmed. Call the police. Tell them you need a welfare check on Jennifer Morrison. Give them the address and explain that her husband is preventing her from being contacted. I'm dialing now, Janet said. I sat in my car watching my mom's street, waiting for police cars and praying that I was wrong about everything. 23 minutes later, I watched a police cruiser pull up to my mom's house. My hands gripped the steering wheel as I saw Officer Martinez, different from the immigration agent, walk up to the front door. Through my car window, I could barely make out Rick answering, his body language animated and gesticulating. The conversation lasted maybe 5 minutes before I saw my mom appear in the doorway. Even from 3 blocks away, I could tell something was wrong with how she was standing, too rigid, too controlled. She spoke briefly to the officer, nodded a few times, then disappeared back inside. Rick remained on the porch, chatting casually with Officer Martinez like they were old friends discussing the weather. My phone rang. Maya. It's Janet. The police just called me back. They said your mom is fine, just feeling under the weather. Officer Martinez said she confirmed she'd asked for time off and apologized for the confusion. No. That was impossible. Janet, my mom never apologizes for being sick. And she would have called you herself to explain, even if she was dying. The officer seemed satisfied. Because Rick coached her on exactly what to say. I was talking too loud for Starbucks, burning stares from other customers. I moved outside. Janet, did the officer say whether he spoke to my mom alone? No, he didn't mention that. Maya, what do you think is happening over there? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from my mom's number. Maya, please stop worrying everyone. I'm fine, just need rest. Don't contact me for a few days while I recover. Mom. I screenshot the message immediately and called Janet back. Check your phone. My mom just texted me, but Janet, my mom has never in her life signed a text message with mom. She barely knows how to use punctuation in texts. Oh honey, you're right. She usually sends me novels with those little emoji hearts. Rick sent that text from her phone. I'm calling the police again. But when I called the non-emergency number, the dispatcher was less than helpful. Ma'am, we already completed a welfare check at that address 20 minutes ago. Mrs. Morrison spoke directly with our officer and confirmed she's fine. Unless you have evidence of an immediate threat. Her husband has been committing federal crimes and stealing from her bank accounts. Ma'am, that would be a matter for the FBI or Financial Crimes Division. For domestic issues, you'd need to file a report with. I hung up in frustration. By the time I navigated bureaucracy, Rick could have convinced my mom to disappear entirely or destroyed all the evidence in his office. Then I remembered something from my mom's earlier call. She'd said Rick was making lunch when she'd texted me. But it was almost 5:30 p.m. now. Where had Rick been all afternoon while my mom was supposedly napping? I called Northwestern's campus security office. Hi, this is Maya Chen, student ID 47291853. I need to report a potential security threat. Someone has been stalking me and may have accessed campus illegally. What kind of threat, Ms. Chen? A family member has been stealing my personal documents and filing false reports about me. I'm concerned he might have come to campus today to gather more information or tamper with my academic records. Can you provide a description? I gave them Rick's details: 6 feet 2 inches, brown hair, drives a black Ford Explorer with license plate GKL 8847. He has no legitimate reason to be on campus, and if he's there, he's probably trying to access buildings or offices illegally. We'll check our security footage from today and increase patrols. MS. Chen, if this person has been stealing documents, you should also contact. I'm handling the federal aspects. I cut him off. Just please check if he's been on campus. 15 minutes later, campus security called back. Ms. Chen, we found footage of your subject entering the Technological Institute building at 2:47 p.m. today. He was there for approximately 45 minutes. My blood ran cold. The tech building housed the computer science department offices, including academic records and the server room. Did he sign in as a visitor? Negative. He appears to have followed other people through secured doors. Ms. Chen, we're treating this as a serious security breach. We've already notified campus police. Rick hadn't just been keeping my mom away from work, he'd been on my campus, probably trying to plant more evidence or access my academic files to strengthen his immigration complaint. The timing was perfect. While my mom was trapped at home, napping, Rick was across town continuing his systematic destruction of my life. But he'd made a critical mistake. Campus security cameras were federal property, and unauthorized access to university buildings was a felony. Rick had just handed me evidence of additional crimes. I was no longer just defending myself against false immigration charges. I was building a case that would put Rick Morrison in federal prison for years. I drove straight to the FBI field office downtown, my evidence folder clutched against my chest like armor. The federal building was intimidating, all glass and steel and security checkpoints, but I was past caring about appearances. Rick had escalated this beyond family drama the moment he'd stepped onto federal property to commit crimes. The reception desk looked like something from a spy movie. Agent Patricia Wells, a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, listened to my story with the kind of focused attention that made me feel like she was cataloging every detail. Mr. Morrison filed false immigration reports, committed identity theft by accessing your accounts, trespassed on federal campus property, and you suspect he's financially abusing your mother, she summarized, reviewing the documents I'd spread across her desk. Ms. Chen, this isn't just harassment. This is a coordinated criminal enterprise. How long does it typically take to investigate something like this? Normally. Weeks or months. Agent Wells tapped her pen against Rick's handwritten notebook that my mom had photographed. But your stepfather documented everything himself. He's essentially confessed to multiple felonies in writing. We could have warrants by tomorrow morning. My phone buzzed. Another text from my mom's number. Maya, Rick says you've been calling police and making trouble. Please stop before you make things worse for our family. I need you to trust us. Mom. I showed Agent Wells the message. My mom doesn't text like this. She uses exclamation points and calls me sweetheart or honey. This is Rick trying to control the narrative. We'll add communications interference to the list, Agent Wells said grimly. Ms. Chen, I need to ask directly, do you believe your mother is in physical danger? The question I've been avoiding all day. I don't know. But Rick took out a $500,000 life insurance policy on her without her knowledge, and he's been systematically moving her money into accounts she can't access. If my mom threatens to expose him, that's enough for emergency intervention. Agent Wells was already reaching for her phone. I'm calling for immediate protective custody. We'll have agents at your mother's house within the hour. But before she could dial, my phone rang with yet another unknown number. Maya. The voice was barely above a whisper. It was my mom, but she sounded terrified. I can't talk long. Rick went to the store, but he'll be back soon. Mom. Where are you calling from? Neighbor's house. I climbed out the bathroom window. Her voice was shaking. Maya, Rick's been watching me all day. He took my phone, locked me in our bedroom, told me I was too emotional to make good decisions right now. Agent Wells was already signaling to other agents across the office. I put the phone on speaker. Mom, are you hurt? Not hurt, but scared. Maya, I found more things in his office after you and I talked. Rick has been planning this for almost a year. He has documents going back to last March, photos of you, your class schedules, even maps of your apartment building. A year. Rick had been stalking me since my junior year, probably waiting for the right moment to strike. What kind of photos? Pictures of you walking to class, eating at restaurants, studying in the library. Maya, some of these were taken from inside buildings. He's been following you everywhere. Agent Wells grabbed the phone. Mrs. Morrison, this is FBI Agent Patricia Wells. You're in immediate danger. I need you to stay exactly where you are. Federal agents are en route to your location right now. FBI. My mom's voice got smaller. Maya, what's happening? Rick committed federal crimes, Mom. Immigration fraud, identity theft, stalking, financial abuse, Mom, he could go to prison for 20 years. Through the phone, I could hear a car door slamming in the distance. My mom's breathing quickened. He's back. Rick's back and he's going to know I'm not in the bedroom. Mrs. Morrison, get away from any windows and stay on the line, Agent Wells commanded. Units are 2 minutes out. But the line went dead. Agent Wells was already coordinating with tactical units, her voice sharp and professional as she rattled off my mom's address. But all I could think about was Rick discovering that empty bedroom, realizing my mom had escaped, and knowing that his entire criminal conspiracy was about to collapse around him. Rick Morrison was about to become very, very dangerous. 2 minutes felt like 2 hours. Agent Wells had me in the back of an FBI vehicle racing toward my mom's house, sirens wailing through downtown traffic. I gripped my phone, frantically trying to call the neighbor's house where my mom had been hiding, but no one was answering. Units report subject vehicle in driveway, lights on throughout house, came the radio crackle. No visual on either resident. Agent Wells keyed her radio. Approach with caution. Subject may be armed and has demonstrated escalating criminal behavior. Armed? The thought hadn't occurred to me, but of course Rick might have weapons. He'd already shown he was willing to destroy lives to protect his secrets. What would he do if he felt completely cornered? My phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered immediately. Maya. It was Mrs. Patterson, my mom's elderly neighbor. Honey, your mother ran back to her house about 5 minutes ago. She was crying, saying Rick had her phone and was sending messages pretending to be her. My heart stopped. She went back. Why didn't she wait for help? She said Rick was texting people from her phone, making it look like she was okay. She was terrified he was going to disappear and destroy evidence before police arrived. Maya, I tried to stop her, but she climbed right over our fence. Agent Wells grabbed my phone. Mrs. Patterson, this is the FBI. We have units surrounding the Morrison house right now. Did you see anyone else arrive or leave? Well, yes. About 10 minutes ago, a moving truck pulled into their driveway. 2 men started loading boxes from the garage. I thought it was strange since Jennifer never mentioned moving. Moving truck. Rick wasn't just trying to control my mom, he was preparing to run. How long had he been planning his escape route? Mrs. Patterson, can you see the house from your window right now? Let me look, oh my. There are police cars everywhere. And Maya, honey, I can see someone moving around upstairs in Jennifer's bedroom. The lights keep going on and off. We pulled up to the scene as FBI tactical agents were positioning themselves around the house. Agent Wells immediately started coordinating with the team leader, but I could only focus on those bedroom windows, watching shadows move behind the curtains. Agent Wells, came a voice over radio, we've intercepted multiple communications from the house. Subject appears to be on phone calls arranging money transfers. We're hearing fragments about liquidating assets and emergency relocation. My mom had been right. Rick was trying to steal everything and disappear before his crimes caught up with him. But now she was trapped inside with him while he was in full panic mode. We also found something in the moving truck, the tactical leader reported. Boxes full of shredded documents. The moving crew says they were hired this morning to help with an urgent relocation and paid triple rates in cash. Agent Wells cursed under her breath. He's been destroying evidence all afternoon. How much did he get rid of? Before anyone could answer, every light in my mom's house suddenly went out. Then, through the darkness, we heard shouting. A man's voice, Rick, yelling something about ruining everything and should have minded your own business. Then my mom screamed. Agent Wells was already moving toward the house, speaking rapidly into her radio. All units, we have escalation. Authorizing immediate entry. But as tactical agents approached the front door, it suddenly swung open. Rick appeared in the doorway, and my blood turned to ice when I saw what he was holding, a thick manila envelope and a cell phone pressed to his ear. I want to speak to whoever's in charge, Rick called out, his voice carrying across the yard with disturbing calm. I have some things to explain about Maya Chen's immigration status. Things that might surprise you. Even now, even surrounded by federal agents, Rick was still trying to manipulate the situation by attacking me. He was holding that envelope like it contained some kind of trump card, something that would shift blame back onto me and away from his crimes. Agent Wells raised her voice. Mr. Morrison, we need you to put down the phone and envelope, and tell us where Jennifer is. Rick smiled, actually smiled, and held up the phone so we could all see it. Jennifer's right here. We've been having a very important conversation about family loyalty. That's when I realized the phone wasn't for making calls. Rick had been recording my mom, probably trying to force her to corroborate his lies about me or admit to fake crimes of her own. He wasn't just trying to escape. Rick Morrison was making one last desperate attempt to destroy both of our lives before going down. The standoff felt frozen in time. Rick stood in that doorway holding my mom's phone like a weapon, that manila envelope tucked under his other arm. Behind him, the house was completely dark except for the glow of police flashlights cutting through windows. Mr. Morrison, Agent Wells called out, we know about the falsified immigration reports, the unauthorized financial transfers, and your illegal access to Northwestern's campus today. This ends better for everyone if you cooperate now. Rick's laugh was cold and sharp. You think you know everything? Maya's been lying to all of you. He waved the envelope. I have recordings of Jennifer admitting she's been helping Maya work off the books. Bank transfers showing payments for illegal employment. Text messages between Maya and her mother discussing how to hide visa violations. My stomach dropped. Even knowing Rick was a liar, hearing him sound so confident made me doubt everything. What if he'd somehow manufactured evidence that looked real? What if he'd forced my mom to say things that could be twisted against both of us? He's lying. I shouted before Agent Wells could stop me. My mom would never. Wouldn't she? Rick interrupted, pressing something on the phone. Suddenly my mom's voice filled the air, tinny through the phone speaker. I gave Maya $3,000 last semester when she said she was struggling with expenses. I didn't ask too many questions because I wanted to help. My heart sank. That was true, my mom had helped me with rent when my financial aid was delayed in September. But it was completely legal for parents to provide limited support to students on F-1 visas. Rick played another clip. Maya mentioned working with other international students on some kind of project. I assumed it was school-related, but now I'm wondering if there was more to it. Also true, but twisted. My mom was talking about our database design study group, not some illegal work conspiracy. But without context, Rick had made it sound incriminating. See? Rick called out. Jennifer's been enabling Maya's violations for months. They've both been lying to immigration authorities. Agent Wells stepped closer to the house. Mr. Morrison, those recordings were obtained through coercion and false imprisonment. Even if they contained evidence of violations, which they don't, they'd be inadmissible in any legal proceeding. Maybe, Rick said. But they'll be very interesting to ICE when I send them copies. Maya's hearing is Friday morning, right? I wonder how her asylum case will go when immigration officials hear her own mother describing how she helped hide visa violations. I wasn't applying for asylum, and my mom hadn't described hiding anything, but Rick was betting that confusion and fear would work better than facts. He was probably planning to flood immigration officials with misleading audio clips and fake evidence, hoping to overwhelm the system before anyone could sort out truth from lies. Where is Jennifer Morrison right now? Agent Wells demanded. Rick tilted his head toward the dark house. She's fine. Resting upstairs while we sort out this family situation. Jennifer understands that Maya's behavior has put us all at risk. She's agreed to cooperate with immigration authorities to minimize the damage to our household. The way he said, our household, made it clear that Rick had never considered me part of the family. Even now, he was framing this as protecting himself and my mom from the dangerous foreign daughter who'd brought federal scrutiny down on their peaceful American home. But something in his tone had changed. The confident manipulation was starting to crack, replaced by something more desperate. Rick Morrison was realizing that his carefully constructed lies weren't going to save him this time. And desperate men with nothing left to lose make the most dangerous choices of all. Agent Wells was coordinating with the tactical team when my phone rang. Rick's number. Maya, he said, his voice eerily calm through the speaker. I think it's time we had an honest conversation. Agent Wells immediately signaled for the call to be traced and recorded. I put it on speaker, my hands shaking. What do you want, Rick? I want you to understand something. This doesn't have to destroy your mother's life. Jennifer is a good woman who got caught up in your problems. If you withdraw your immigration appeal and return to your home country voluntarily, I'll make sure none of these recordings reach ICE. Your mother's reputation stays intact. And if I don't? Then Jennifer faces charges as an accessory to immigration fraud. Her dental license gets revoked. Her patients learn that Dr. Morrison was helping her stepdaughter work illegally. 20 years of building her practice, gone. Agent Wells was writing furiously on a notepad, showing me her words. He's admitting to extortion. Keep him talking. Rick, you filed false reports. You stole from my mom's bank accounts. Even if I left the country tomorrow, you're still going to prison for federal crimes. His laugh was bitter. Maya, you still don't understand how this works. I'm a 53-year-old American citizen with no criminal record and a solid reputation in this community. You're a 22-year-old foreign national with visa problems. Who do you think people will believe? The FBI seems to believe me. The FBI is responding to immediate safety concerns. But when this goes to court, when lawyers start examining evidence and questioning witnesses, things get more complicated. Juries don't like foreigners who bring chaos to American families. Agent Wells held up another note, stall him. Units moving into position. Where's my mom, Rick? Let me talk to her. Jennifer is processing some difficult truths about her daughter's choices. She needs time to decide whether she's going to support your version of events or tell the truth about what she's observed over the past year. Through the phone, I could hear muffled sounds in the background, footsteps, maybe drawers being opened and closed. Rick was doing something while talking to me, probably still destroying evidence or preparing for his escape. Rick, there are federal agents surrounding your house. Even if you had real evidence against me, there's nowhere for you to run. Maya, I've been planning for contingencies since December. You think I'd go this far without exit strategies? His voice got colder. I have copies of everything stored in 3 different locations. Safety deposit boxes, cloud storage, trusted friends who'll release everything if something happens to me. Even if you manage to discredit what I've shown authorities so far, there's always more. My heart sank. Rick had been treating this like a war, not a family dispute. He'd built redundancies and backup plans, probably anticipating that his crimes might be discovered eventually. But here's what's really going to surprise you, Maya. I'm not the only one who's been documenting your activities. Your study group friend Kevin. He's been keeping records too. Very detailed records about the database project you've all been working on. Kevin Martinez, my study partner from Advanced Database Systems. We'd been working together all semester on our final project. But Rick was making it sound sinister, like Kevin was some kind of informant. What are you talking about? Check your email, Maya. Kevin sent you something very interesting about an hour ago. With Agent Wells watching, I opened my email on my phone. There was indeed a message from Kevin, sent at 4:47 p.m., with the subject line, urgent, need to talk. Maya, someone came to my apartment today asking questions about our project. They showed me documents that made it look like you've been using our database work to help people falsify employment records. I told them it wasn't true, but they had screenshots of code that looked real. I'm scared I might be in trouble too. Can you call me? Rick had gotten to Kevin. Somehow, he'd convinced my study partner that our legitimate schoolwork was part of some immigration fraud scheme. Rick, Kevin is a computer science student working on a class assignment. You can't seriously expect anyone to believe. Kevin believes it, Maya. And he's willing to testify about the suspicious requests you made, the unusual data you asked him to help process. Poor kid thinks he accidentally helped you commit federal crimes. Through the phone, I heard Agent Wells' radio crackle with an update that made my blood freeze. We have a problem. Second subject just arrived on scene. College-age male, approaching the house with what appears to be a laptop bag. Kevin. Rick had somehow manipulated my study partner into coming here, probably convinced him that he needed to turn over our project files as evidence or risk being charged as an accomplice. Rick's plan was becoming clear. He wasn't just destroying me, he was systematically involving everyone in my life, turning my friends into witnesses against me and my mother into an unwilling accomplice. Even if his original crimes were exposed, he was creating such a web of confusion and false testimony that the truth might be impossible to untangle. Maya, Rick's voice was almost gentle now, like a teacher explaining something to a slow student. This is your last chance to end this quietly. Come to the house. We'll sit down like a family and work out an agreement that protects everyone. Agent Wells was frantically shaking her head, but Rick continued, or we can let this play out publicly, and you can watch your mother's life get destroyed along with yours. Your choice. The tactical team moved into position as Kevin approached the house, his laptop bag clutched against his chest like a shield. Through the darkness, I could see his face in the glow of police flashlights, confused, terrified, probably thinking he was about to be arrested for crimes he didn't understand. Kevin. I called out before Agent Wells could stop me. Don't go in there. Rick has been lying to you. Kevin froze on the front walkway, looking between me and the FBI agents surrounding him. Maya. What's happening? The man who came to my apartment said you were in serious trouble, that our database project was being used for identity theft. He showed me financial records with our code embedded in them. Rick's manipulation was even more sophisticated than I'd realized. He'd somehow taken legitimate schoolwork and manufactured fake financial documents around it, making it look like Kevin and I had been using our class assignment to help people create false employment records. Mr. Chen, Agent Wells called out to Kevin, you're not in any trouble. We believe you've been given false information about your classwork with Maya. But Rick's voice cut through the night from his position in the doorway. Kevin, don't listen to them. Maya's been using you. Show them what you brought. Kevin hesitantly opened his laptop bag and pulled out a thick folder. The man said I needed to bring all our project files, our chat logs, everything we've worked on together. Maya, did you really use our customer database simulation to create fake employment records for undocumented people? My heart broke seeing the betrayal in Kevin's eyes. Rick had taken an innocent computer science project. We'd been building a theoretical employee management system for a fictional company, and convinced Kevin it was being used for actual immigration fraud. Kevin, look at me, I said, stepping closer despite Agent Wells' warning gesture. Our project was for Professor Kim's Advanced Database Systems class. We were creating sample data for a fake company called TechFlow Solutions. None of it was real. But he showed me bank records, Kevin said, his voice cracking. Payments made to people whose information matched the fake employee profiles we created. Maya, the names, the social security numbers, they were identical to our test data. Rick had been busy. He'd somehow obtained real financial records and doctored them to include names and numbers from our class project, creating the illusion that our academic work was connected to actual fraud. It was brilliant and terrifying. Kevin genuinely believed he'd been manipulated into committing federal crimes. Kevin, Agent Wells said gently, computer-generated test data often uses common name combinations and sequential number patterns. It's not unusual for fake data to accidentally match real information. But Rick wasn't finished. Agent Wells, you might want to check Kevin's recent bank deposits. 3 payments of $500 each, received over the past month. Exactly the amount Maya was paying her study partners for their help with the project. Kevin's face went white. I did get payments, but Maya, you said those were from your work-study job. You said you were paying me to help with extra tutoring because your advisor recommended it. I felt like the ground was disappearing beneath my feet. I had paid Kevin for tutoring help, completely legal and normal, but Rick was making it sound like payment for criminal activity. Kevin, you've been helping me understand database optimization techniques. I paid you the same way I'd pay any tutor. Maya, Kevin said quietly, I looked up work-study job payments after the man came to my apartment. Students on F1 visas can only work on campus. There is no work-study job that would give you $1,500 in cash to pay tutors with. Agent Wells stepped forward. Mr. Chen, how exactly did Maya pay you? Cash, Kevin whispered. Always cash. She said it was easier than electronic transfers. I'd paid in cash because my bank account was a mess of delayed financial aid deposits and my mom's emergency help with rent. Electronic transfers would have required explaining my inconsistent balance and irregular income sources. But now, filtered through Rick's lies, my innocent tutoring arrangement looked like money laundering. Rick's voice carried across the yard with sick satisfaction. Agent Wells, I think you'll find that Maya's been running a much more sophisticated operation than anyone realized. Kevin's just one of several students who've been unknowingly recruited to help with document fraud. The real question is, how long has Maya been using Northwestern's computer systems to access and alter immigration databases? The accusation was so outrageous, so completely fabricated, that I couldn't even form words to respond. But I could see doubt creeping into Agent Wells' eyes as she processed this new layer of Rick's lies. Kevin clutched his laptop bag tighter. Maya, please tell me none of this is true. Please tell me I haven't helped you commit federal crimes. Before I could answer, every light in my mom's house suddenly blazed on. Through the upstairs windows, I could see a figure moving frantically, my mom, and she was holding something in her hands. Then she appeared at the bedroom window and held up a sign made from poster board. Rick has a gun. He's planning to hurt Maya. Get her away from here now. The sign in my mom's window changed everything. Agent Wells immediately started shouting orders into her radio while tactical agents moved toward the house, but all I could think about was that Rick had been armed this entire time, standing in that doorway, talking calmly about destroying my life, with a weapon somewhere on his person. All units, suspect is confirmed armed, Agent Wells barked. Civilian safety is priority 1. Mr. Chen, step away from the house immediately. But Kevin was frozen in place, still clutching his laptop bag like it might protect him from the chaos erupting around us. Maya, I don't understand what's happening. The man who came to my apartment seemed so normal, so concerned about you. He had business cards, official-looking documents. Kevin, run. I shouted as Agent Wells pulled me behind the armored vehicle. Whatever Rick showed you was fake. Through the confusion, Rick's voice cut through the night one more time. Maya. I know you can hear me. You have exactly 2 minutes to walk through this front door, or your mother pays for your stubborn choices. The threat against my mom made my vision blur with rage. Even surrounded by federal agents, even facing decades in prison, Rick was still trying to control the situation by threatening the people I loved. But Agent Wells held my arm firmly when I instinctively moved toward the house. Ms. Chen, you cannot engage with him. That's exactly what he wants. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Maya, this is Kevin using my roommate's phone. I found something in my apartment after the FBI guy left. Hidden camera in my smoke detector that wasn't there yesterday. Rick has been recording everything in my room. All our study sessions, phone calls, everything. How long has he been watching us? The surveillance was even more extensive than I'd imagined. Rick hadn't just been following me around campus, he'd been inside Kevin's apartment, recording our innocent tutoring sessions to create fake evidence of criminal conspiracies. Agent Wells, I said, showing her the message. Rick planted surveillance equipment in my friend's apartment. He's been manufacturing evidence for months. She read the text, her expression growing grimmer. Ms. Chen, this isn't just about immigration fraud anymore. We're looking at federal stalking charges, illegal surveillance, home invasion. She paused as another message came through on her radio. Agent Wells, we've got movement in the basement. Thermal imaging shows the suspect has moved away from the front door. We've lost visual on both subjects. My heart stopped. Rick had taken my mom somewhere deeper in the house, away from the windows where we could see her. The tactical advantage had just shifted completely in his favor. There's something else, Kevin's voice cracked as he approached our position, having finally moved away from the house. The man who came to my apartment, Rick, he didn't just ask about our database project. He wanted to know about your schedule, your habits, which routes you take to class. He asked if you'd mentioned having any enemies or people who might want to hurt you. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Rick hadn't just been building a case to have me deported, he'd been planning something much worse. The immigration complaints, the manufactured evidence, even bringing Kevin here tonight, it was all meant to create a narrative where my disappearance would make perfect sense. Everyone would believe that Maya Chen, the troubled international student facing deportation for visa fraud, had simply vanished rather than face justice. And Rick Morrison, the concerned stepfather who tried so hard to help his criminal stepdaughter, would console his grieving wife and quietly access that $500,000 life insurance policy once the investigation died down. Agent Wells, I whispered, Rick never planned to just have me deported. He's been setting up my murder. The weight of that realization hit me like a physical blow. Rick hadn't just been trying to get me deported, he'd been methodically setting up a scenario where my death would look justified, even inevitable. The desperate international student, caught in multiple federal crimes, who couldn't handle the shame of facing justice. Agent Wells was already coordinating with the tactical team, but I could see the calculation in her eyes. A hostage situation with an armed subject who'd been planning violence for months wasn't going to end with peaceful negotiation. Ma'am, we're getting radio chatter from inside the house, came a voice over the comm. Subject appears to be making phone calls. We've intercepted fragments, timeline moved up, tonight instead of Friday, and make it look like she ran. Rick was still working his plan, even now. Friday, my immigration hearing, that was supposed to be when I disappeared. But with FBI agents surrounding his house, he was improvising, trying to accelerate whatever he'd been planning for 3 days from now. Kevin grabbed my arm, his face pale with understanding. Maya, when Rick came to my apartment, he asked me something weird. He wanted to know if you ever talked about feeling hopeless, or mentioned wanting to give up on school. I thought he was just concerned about your mental health, but now. He was building a suicide narrative. I finished, feeling sick. If I disappeared Friday after the hearing, everyone would assume I couldn't handle being deported and killed myself rather than face going home in shame. Agent Wells cursed under her breath. Ms. Chen, did Rick have access to your medical records? Prescription medications? Anything that could be used to stage an overdose? My mom worked at a dental office with access to sedatives and pain medications. Rick had been asking Kevin about my mental state. He'd stolen my laptop and gone through all my personal files, probably looking for any signs of depression or anxiety that could support his narrative. Agent Wells, incoming call from inside the house, a tactical operator reported. Subject is requesting to speak with Maya Chen directly. This time, Agent Wells didn't hesitate. Absolutely not. We don't negotiate with armed subjects who've made threats. But my phone was already ringing. Rick's number again. Don't answer it, Agent Wells commanded, but Rick's voice suddenly boomed across the yard through a bullhorn he must have found in my mom's emergency kit. Maya. I know you're out there listening. Your mother wants to say goodbye. Then my mom's voice, shaky and terrified. Maya, sweetheart, I'm so sorry I didn't believe you earlier. Rick has been planning this for so long. He showed me files, photos of you from months ago, recordings of your phone calls that he somehow got access to. Honey, he's been inside your apartment. Inside my apartment. The violation was complete. Rick had been in my personal space, probably multiple times, planting surveillance equipment and gathering intelligence for whatever he'd been planning to do to me Friday night. Mrs. Morrison, that's enough, came Rick's voice through the bullhorn. Then, directed at the agents, Jennifer needs medical attention. She's having chest pains, difficulty breathing. Stress-induced cardiac episode, probably. She needs to get to a hospital, but I'm not sure it's safe for her to leave while Maya is out there making wild accusations. He was claiming my mom was having a heart attack, creating medical urgency that might force the FBI to negotiate. But after everything I'd learned about Rick's manipulation tactics, I didn't trust a word he said. Agent Wells, my mom has never had heart problems. Rick is lying about a medical emergency to create leverage. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. My mom had been under tremendous stress today, discovering her husband was a criminal, finding evidence of financial theft, being trapped in her own home. What if Rick's lies were causing real medical consequences? Through the bullhorn, Rick's voice turned coldly practical. Maya, your mother's life is in your hands now. Walk through the front door, and she gets the medical attention she needs. Keep hiding behind federal agents, and you can live with whatever happens next. Agent Wells stepped closer to me, her voice low but firm. Ms. Chen, I need you to understand something. Based on everything we've learned tonight, Rick Morrison is planning to kill both you and your mother. The medical emergency is fake. The negotiation is fake. If you walk through that door, you're not saving your mother, you're giving him exactly what he's wanted for months. Kevin was staring at the house, his laptop bag now forgotten on the ground. Maya, I keep thinking about something else Rick asked me. He wanted to know if you'd ever mentioned being afraid of anyone, if you talked about threats or feeling unsafe. I told him you'd seemed worried about your immigration hearing, and he got this look, like that was exactly what he wanted to hear. Every piece of information everyone had innocently shared with Rick over the past year had become part of his murder plan. My mom's concerns about my stress levels. Kevin's observations about my immigration anxiety. Even my own conversations, recorded without my knowledge through surveillance devices he'd planted throughout my life. Rick Morrison hadn't just been destroying my present, he'd been stealing my future, one documented lie at a time. And now, surrounded by federal agents with nowhere left to run, he was making his final play to eliminate the only witnesses who could send him to prison forever. The bullhorn crackled one more time. Maya, you have 30 seconds to decide. Save your mother, or live with the guilt forever. I'm counting down now. 30, 29, 28. The countdown reached 15 when my mom appeared at the front door herself, walking steadily and clearly not having any medical emergency. She was holding something in her hands, Rick's handwritten notebook and what looked like a hard drive. Rick's in the basement trying to delete files from his computer, she called out to Agent Wells. But I already copied everything to this external drive. Every document, every photo, every recording he made of Maya over the past year. My heart soared. My mom hadn't just escaped, she'd gathered the evidence that would bury Rick's lies forever. Jennifer, get back inside right now. Rick's voice came from somewhere in the house, no longer calm or controlled. You don't understand what you're doing. I understand perfectly, my mom called back. I understand that my husband has been stalking my daughter for 11 months. I understand that he stole $47,000 from our joint accounts. And I understand that he's been planning to murder both of us to cover up his crimes. Agent Wells was already signaling the tactical team. Mrs. Morrison walked directly toward my voice. We'll cover you. But Rick appeared in the doorway behind my mom, and my blood froze when I saw the gun in his hand. Nobody moves. Jennifer, you're going back inside, and we're going to discuss this like rational adults. Rick Morrison, you're surrounded by federal agents, Agent Wells commanded through her megaphone. Put down the weapon and surrender immediately. I don't think so, Rick shouted back. Maya ruined everything with her paranoid accusations. Jennifer ruined everything by not trusting her own husband. Well, if I'm going to prison anyway, I might as well finish what I started. That's when Kevin did something incredibly brave and incredibly stupid. He grabbed his laptop bag and hurled it at Rick, shouting, Maya, run. The distraction lasted maybe 2 seconds, but it was enough. Tactical agents rushed the door as Rick stumbled backward, and my mom sprinted toward us clutching the evidence that would finally expose Rick's year-long criminal conspiracy. The arrest happened so fast I almost missed it. One moment Rick was waving a gun around making threats, the next he was face down on his own front porch with 3 federal agents restraining him. Rick Morrison, you're under arrest for immigration fraud, identity theft, stalking, illegal surveillance, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, terroristic threats, and attempted murder, Agent Wells announced as the handcuffs clicked into place. As they hauled Rick toward the federal transport vehicle, he looked directly at me and said, this isn't over, Maya. I have lawyers. I have connections. You'll never be safe here. But Agent Wells smiled grimly. Mr. Morrison, your connections are going to be very interested in the federal wiretap recordings we've been making of your phone calls for the past 3 hours. Conspiracy to commit murder carries a life sentence. You'll never see the outside of a federal prison. The look of shock on Rick's face when he realized the FBI had been recording everything was almost worth the 11 months of hell he put me through. Almost. 3 hours later, I sat in FBI headquarters with my mom and Kevin, watching Agent Wells catalog the evidence Rick had been stupid enough to document. Photos of me dating back to March 2023. Audio recordings of phone calls he'd intercepted. Detailed plans for making my death look like suicide after a failed immigration hearing. Ms. Chen, Agent Wells said, based on the evidence your stepfather helpfully preserved for us, we're filing charges that will put him away for approximately 40 years. Your immigration case will be dismissed with prejudice. The false complaints actually strengthen your legal status here. My mom squeezed my hand. Maya, I'm so sorry I didn't believe you immediately. I can't imagine what this year has been like for you. It's over now, I said, and for the first time in months, I actually believed it. Rick Morrison had spent a year trying to destroy my life with lies. Instead, he'd handed federal prosecutors a gift-wrapped case that would destroy his own life with the truth. Sometimes justice really is that simple.